Should we move on to actress?
Let's do it. Yeah, I've got
Okay.
quite a few of them here as well.
Now, this is one that I found a little bit challenging as well. I don't quite have the depth of Best Actor, but I still think this is a pretty great category.
Mm-hmm.
And one where, again, I'm contemplating wrestling with a sixth nominee here.
Okay.
All right, here's where I'm at. Sissy Spacek for In the Bedroom.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Nicole Kidman for Moulin Rouge and The Others. I couldn't pick.
I'll pick for
Both
you.
of
It's
them.
Moulin Rouge.
I love them both though, pretty equally. Naomi Watts and Mulholland Drive.
Okay.
Audrey Tautou and Amelie.
Yep.
And of course, Maggie Chung in The Mood for Love. So that, lends a question as to Halle Berry. Should she
she would not crack my top 20.
Okay, because that is a film, admittedly, that I have not revisited yet for this. And I honestly
she's
don't
pretty good
know.
in it.
I don't know if I will, because the film itself, and maybe this is unfair, but I have never been in love with that movie. I don't think that it would crack my top 20, even if I was to revisit it. And I wanted to prioritize the movies that I thought would have a fighting chance to be in my top 20, if not even my top 10 or my top 5.
Yeah.
So Monsters Ball was never a priority, and I haven't seen the movie in a long time. I did love her performance, but that's why I have her here as a question mark, because I don't
It's not a bad
know
performance.
if in retrospect it would crack my 5, but I don't know. I haven't seen it in a long time.
Yeah, it's not a bad performance. I feel like, and this is very unfair. We're using that word a lot, and I think it's okay for us to admit that we might be in the wrong here. But cynically speaking, I feel like her performance, accepting the award and her speech was more interesting than the performance itself. Because just remember how like notorious that was, the way that she was like crying and reaching for everyone as she was speaking and giving her acceptance speech. And not to say it wasn't genuine, but there was like a certain iconography about that I found more memorable than anything she did in the movie Monsters Ball.
Fair enough.
Which again, not to knock the performance, I just think there were better leading actress performances from that year, mostly those that you already mentioned.
I agree. I agree. Those 5 very much. Those are my 5. I wrote Halle Berry as a 6, as a question mark, just as a talking point, because if I was to revisit the film, and I just might not be able to until after the fact, but if I was to revisit it, maybe she is worthy of being in that conversation. I don't know. As it stands right now, it's more of a question mark. And she's on the outside looking in.
I do think that's fair, and many of the ones you brought up there would be among my nominees as well. We have quite a few crossover here. I also have Maggie Chung from In the Mood for Love. I have Audrey Tautou for Amelie. I would probably also have Sissy Spacek for In the Bedroom. That might be my 5th place one. It could swap out with something else as we talk about this further. But the other 2 I have here, Thora Birch for Ghost World.
Well, see, and that was going to be the next one I brought up, because if I'm being honest at this point, again, without revisiting Monsters Ball, my actual 6th is Thora Birch.
Yeah, she's in my 5 here. I think she's
great.
wonderful in that movie. And my last nominee, I have Reese Witherspoon for Legally Blonde. It is an amazing comedic performance. And I feel like we don't give those types of performances enough credit or weight when we do some of these. I know we sometimes do, and usually when one of them gets an Oscar nomination, like let's say Melissa McCarthy for Bridesmaids, I think it's the wrong one. But I really love what Reese is doing in this movie. I think it is genuinely great.
Okay. I would not have her in my top 6 or 7, but it's a performance I do like. I do have a comedic performance, though, in one of my supporting categories. We'll get to that.
I do too. That'd be funny if we're thinking of the same one.
I don't think we are, though. I don't think we're thinking of the same one. I'd be surprised if we did, but
we'll see.
Who knows? I do agree with you, broadly speaking, that comedic performances, animated performances, motion capture performances, generally speaking, those should be considered way more. Horror films, performances from horror films should be considered more.
Yeah. They have a history of being ignored, sadly.
Absolutely. And on this show, we've absolutely considered them quite a bit. Andy Serkis has been nominated several times
That's
for
why the InSession Film
motion
Award
capture.
InSession Film Award should be replacing the
Yeah.
Oscars, man. They should be
Yep.
replacing the Oscars.
We've had some vocal performances be nominated. Yeah, I'm with it. Totally with you in that regard. But yeah, Legally Blonde, Reese Witherspoon, good performance. Not quite up there for me. The other one, and I guess this is more of a supporting performance, but I guess you could argue lead maybe if we wanted to do the whole Barbie category fraud thing, although that's not really category fraud, but still falls under that umbrella.
Yeah, sure.
Penelope Cruz for Vanilla Sky.
Yeah, that again, I haven't seen them. I need to revisit the movie to have more of a fresh take on this, but from what I recall, I feel like that would fall more in supporting.
That might be more supporting.
Yeah.
I could see the argument going both ways, which is why I bring it up.
I would say if you're trying to argue between Penelope Cruz versus Cameron Diaz and who is more of a lead, if any one of them is, it would definitely be more. It's definitely more Cruz than Cameron Diaz. Yeah,
exactly.
For sure.
Especially given that context.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's why I simply bring it up as a question. But that's where I stand. Those are my 5 for Best Actress.
Yep.
Solid 5.
I think it's a very solid 5. Do you know who would win for you? Do you have a clear winner, or is this another one of those flip a 5-sided coin?
It is a little bit. It's a tight race, like it is for Best Actor, but I think I go Maggie Chung here for In the Mood for Love. I think that's where I go.
Well, I'll make it a little bit different and go with Audrey Tautou for Amelie. And this is from someone who might not even have Amelie in his top 10. Like I love the movie mostly. There are a few things about it I don't love. So I know you like the movie overall more than I do, but I love her performance.
She's great.
I really do.
She's great. Probably my number 2 here if I was doing a ranking of the 5.
Okay.
But yeah, both of those are really quite great. I will absolutely go to bat, though, for Nicole Kidman, for both of them.
Yeah,
I
that's fair.
truly cannot choose. She's fantastic in Moulin Rouge. And the others is wildly different. I just love that the 2 performances could not really be any different.
Sure.
The films, especially. But she's terrific in both. Absolutely terrific. Love both of those movies. And Sissy Spacek is... pretty concretely in my 5. It sounds like she's a little bit more loose for you. I think she gives the best performance in that movie. It's not even close for me.
Oh, it's no.
And I love the cast on the whole. There might be another one represented here in a moment.
But I think with that we might be thinking of the same one. And if we are thinking of the same one, that's who I think gives the best performance in the movie.
Which is fair. Yeah. I will say this. I think you can flip a coin. I think they're equally fantastic.
Yeah. Now we're just making a sports competition out of something that shouldn't exist.
That's so dumb.
How much we commonly say we don't like that. Here we are doing the same thing. We're so contradictory.
I know, absolutely. That is to say, the performances in that film are really quite great.
Yep.
And Spacek easily makes this list for me.